Do not adjust your internet or your web show process through your Throwback Sports page. You must be saying, I blinked and he was talking with somebody else only minutes ago, but this is the truth. My name is Randy Zellea, founder and owner of Back Sports Page. And with me now is one of our amazing young staff writers for our baseball crew, Ben Rossi. He's out there in California. Ben, good evening. I'm glad we were able to fit you in today. I'm sorry. For those who don't know, I was supposed to have Ben with me at 9:00. I'm 33 minutes late. Trying to get me tied down to the time sometimes is like the worst thing in the world with all the stuff that I have going on between family and all this other stuff. But we are here. Ben, good evening. How is it? 6:30 California time right now.
Oh, it's great. And I mean, this is no problem having to fit it in, squeeze it in late. I mean, that's the business of sportscasting. We always go over time when we're like discussing sports, having fun doing it. But yeah, weather's looking nice. Hopefully we're just past wildfire season. And yeah, it's great to be on here tonight.
Well, listen, I had to bust your chops before we went on the air, and I got to do it now. I'm and I've only mentioned this from love, but when Ben first joined Back Sports Page, his hair was like, I wish I had a picture, but his hair was like out here, and it was like cool, man. I was like, all right, he's got the California vibe, but now he got a haircut, and it totally threw me off a little bit. I'm like, who's this guy? So listen, you're out in California. Were you born and raised in Cali?
Yes, I was.
Okay, and obviously through your work, you're able to tell your passion for baseball. When was the first time you went to a game? What was the thing that hooked baseball into you and you into baseball? What made it your thing?
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I mean, when I started playing, like my parents took me to quite a few baseball games when I was a kid, even before I really knew what baseball was. I went to quite a few Oakland Athletics games because they were my local team out because I'm out here in Berkeley, California, right next to Oakland. But yeah, after when I started playing Little League, I remember getting to walk on the field on Little League Day at the A's game. It was like my very first year playing. They had a little thing where kids got to walk on the field, and we got like a pack of baseball cards. And from there, I became hooked. I mean, from there, it was like this game's my life. The Oakland A's are my life. The game baseball is, and from there, I just became obsessed with collecting baseball cards. And it just became my biggest hobby and biggest passion. And just the side of a baseball field was always like the prettiest sight for me. It's just became since then baseball's, although my horizons have expanded to other sports since then, baseball's still been like the thing that's been quite a beauty of my life, just the sight of a baseball field.
Oh, and that it's nice to feel that passionate about it, and then you have that much of a love for the game. There's a lot of players right now who don't have that type of love for the game as much as you do. Now, have you been active playing sports? Did you grow up playing baseball? Did you play basketball? What kind of athlete were you growing up?
Yeah, no, I played baseball. Baseball was like actually really the one sport I was that into playing growing up. I played up to middle school, but I kind of knew my limits with playing baseball. And then when I got to high school, I did some wrestling.
Okay. Like growing up, as far as baseball is concerned, I wasn't even good enough to hand out the gum to the players while they were in the dugout. So that shows you my athletic ability as far as baseball was concerned. Um, it's like the truth. So talk to me about your fandom for the Oakland Athletics. It's a conversation that you and I've had in the past, and man, like as far as not only just for the Oakland Athletics, but the crew that we have with Back Sports Page. I know you've been on with Exit Velo team for a while. Talk to me about working with those guys and being able to have conversations about the game of baseball. Is it sort of like you guys can go pound for pound with each other, or is it one of those things where these guys are East Coast, you're West Coast, and you seem to meet in the middle somehow?
Well, it's kind of both. I like how you kind of bring it up East Coast, West Coast. It's like we're kind of repping our own regions of baseball. So you have Adam, who's like our Yankees expert on the East Coast, and then you have Henry, who's all about the Midwest, the Central divisions with his Cubbies, and then I'm on the team out. Meanwhile, I'm right here out west. So it's been a great team. I mean, to like obviously we all support teams from very different statuses. Like we have one guy supporting one of the greatest teams in baseball history, and another one of us supports like one of historically the biggest jokes in baseball history. They only recently broke their 100-year drought. I'm sorry, Henry, but it's been just such a fun crew to be able to have like deep discussions about baseball, and despite like looking at different divisions, just like having deep discussion about where the game's going, just how the games evolved this year, and just how amazing it was, how baseball has just been a great escape, especially throughout this pandemic for fans, and how throughout history baseball has served as a great escape during difficult times.
Well, it's funny you just brought up the pandemic. I have to ask you, as a baseball traditionalist, as you seem to be, did it bother you that it was a shortened season like that? And did it bother you also that you're not able to, like, this season definitely sort of has an asterisk to it? You know what I mean? It does. It seemed to has an asterisk to it. Does it bother you in that sense that it has an asterisk? And do you feel that you sort of feel cheated the way the season was? And did you find it harder to cover and write about baseball?
I don't know. The asterisk, first off with the asterisk thing, I think this season will still be just as legitimate. I don't care what other people say. I mean, there will definitely be maybe some listing of it as a 60-game season, but the Dodgers World Series win will legitimately go down in history, because I don't think playing a 60-game sprint is any easier, really, or what the team had to go through this year dealing with COVID, and just playing quick 60-game sprint, and how managers had to play the cards quickly, and there was little room for margin of error. I don't really think it was any easier. If it might have even been harder than the 162 game season. So I think everything's legitimate about it, but covering it was really interesting though. I mean, I didn't really get to be at the ballpark, so that was part of it. Like usually in the past, I've enjoyed going to games, and now just getting into covering baseball. I was a little bit sad that I didn't get to be right there at the ballpark, get to hear the crack of the bat, hear the loud pitches into the gloves of the catcher. So it was definitely a different experience watching the game from my living room and covering it there, for sure.
What, in your mind, do the Oakland A's have to do to be competing for a championship at this point, besides spending money?
I mean, it just seems like the problem is we're so close. It's like we're almost there. It's just we don't have that it factor that gets us passed around, because as a lot of you know who follow baseball closely, or even those of you who don't follow baseball closely, the A's are a team that always makes the playoffs. Like, we made the playoffs so many times in the era of Billy Beane as our GM. He's still with the team as our vice president. He might be leaving soon. There's reports pending he might be leaving the game of baseball soon, but that's not official. But he's now our president of baseball operations. Before, he was our general manager all those years. And throughout the era, we've made the playoffs so much. Problem is, we've almost always been eliminated in the first round. So it's like, I just don't know what the next step to get over that postseason hump is. It just seems like part of it is I do feel like we need to spend and get that it factor player, and part of it's been our ownership hasn't been giving us, the Oakland A's, enough money to spend and get that it factor player. But at the same time, it's really been hard to say what the thing is that we need to do. I mean, to get our championship. I mean, obviously this year the things we lacked was like consistent starting pitching, and that came to light in the ALDS against the Astros, and our bats started to come to life. But I feel like I wish I saw our bats show more of their capabilities throughout the regular season. I only started to see it in the postseason against the Astros, and then, I mean, our bullpen looked great all season, but it fell apart in the American League Division Series. So I don't exactly know how to rebuild a bullpen that was so good in the regular season but fell apart in the playoffs is the thing. But we're going to have a lot of big decisions to make with free agents, and we are going to have to like do a lot of fixing, moving around of the parts this offseason, because we have like 10 players who are free agents. I know we're not going to be able to sign them all.
Your opinion on the Yankees. I have to ask again, if you're not in the Yankees market, there seems to be a different opinion about the team. What's your opinion about the New York Yankees?
I mean, the thing is,
are they the evil empire?
Let's be real. Everyone views them as that. It doesn't matter how much you follow baseball. You can follow you don't even have to know that what a bat is to basically see the Yankees as like an evil empire. And I mean, to me, I'll give you this: they don't have a specific rivalry with the A's, so they've never been like the team that like, oh, they're the team I like hate the most and dread seeing play the most. But it's like I mean, obviously, with being a big money team like they are, and that being a stark contrast to my Oakland Athletics with our whole Moneyball ways and how we've played as a team and like a colorful personalities. The Yankees are a stark contrast to that. I'll give a few examples. First off, with I don't know if you guys know, but the A's have had a hairy history of a lot of players with hair, and part of that has to do with the early 1970s. I'm a history buff, by the way, so even though I wasn't alive for that time, it was seeing like we had those great pitchers, Raleigh Fingers and Catfish Hunter, who would wear mustaches. Well, that's a stark contrast to anything the Yankees would do, because still to this day they're like a clean shaven team. So it's interesting. I've loved a lot of the Yankees players like Derek Jeter, Joe DiMaggio. They've had, and I like some of their current players like Aaron Judge, but it's just hard for me to at all really almost ever root for them, given how much of a stark contrast they are to the A's, and just given like, yeah, you gotta see how generally an evil empire they might be to like not just baseball but the world of sports.
I end every one of these interviews this way with you guys. Give me your Mount Rushmore of sports.
It's a great question. I'm going to have to start with one player in honor of the part about me being into history and loving and loving the history of sports. I'll have to give the first one to this one A's player who I actually never got a chance to see growing up, but I've seen his highlights throughout history. Ricky Henderson, aka the Man of Steel, all-time stolen base leader in baseball. His record's one of the most unbreakable. Like the guy who's second on the list isn't even anywhere close. So definitely Ricky Henderson, great all-around player for the Oakland A's. I know another second guy on the list would probably be one of my favorite football players growing up, Charles Woodson, when he played for the Raiders, especially corner and safety, because especially when he came back for the Raiders, that second stint around the last few years of his career, it was just great to see him rack up those interceptions, Seawood, and that was at his last game. That was probably one of my greatest sports moments, was being at his last career game with the Oakland Raiders. It was a Thursday night football Christmas Eve game, and just to see Charles Woodson give a great speech. And people forget too, he was like the last Heisman Trophy winner to play both offense and defense. So he's something special of a player. And so I just have to go with Ricky Henderson, Charles Woodson, as someone who's become a big hockey fan the past few years, Patrick Marleau, this longtime player for the San Jose Sharks. He's just brought such a great veteran presence to the team. And then the fourth one's a tough one, but I'm going to have to give it to Steph Curry.
Oh, Steph Curry. You know what? He helped revolutionize the sports world and market out there over the last 3 or 4 years. I mean, you know me, I'm a basketball guy. I know you're a baseball guy. So it's always that little bit of a difference of opinion. But yeah, he's definitely been able to help put everything on the map out there. Real quick, let's I think, did I ever tell you my sports Mount Rushmore?
I think so. Was yours? I was watching the other shows, so you were saying, yeah, I think I saw you.
Jordan, Kidd, Petrovich, and Eli Manning, and then Derek Jeter gets the honorable mention.
Oh yeah, for my honorable mention, I'll have to give it to that guy I mentioned before, either Raleigh Fingers or maybe one of my favorite players as a kid, this one A's player. I don't know if you know him, Eric Chavez. He won 6 Gold Gloves.
I know Eric Chavez. Yeah.
Oh, he did awesome. Yeah, he was one of my favorite. He also played for the Yankees too at some time.
He did.
A's, but yeah, he won 6 Gold Gloves. I mean, he was my childhood idol. I dressed as him for Halloween, the 3rd grade. He was just a vacuum cleaner at third base.
Well, listen, let's let everybody know where they can find you. Let's give your social media out. Let's do that. Plug away.
All right. Yeah. Well, you can follow me on Instagram. You'll see me posting photos of events in my life, things I like to do at East_Bay_Ben, East Bay Ben. And then you can follow me on Twitter, where I post a lot of my back sports page stuff, and where you'll see me posting exit velo on my articles at Benji, BENJI, Rocks, ROCKS, hard. HARD. So Benji Rocks Hard. That's where you'll find all my articles for Back Sports page and tagging the site. You can also find it on Facebook. My Facebook is simply my name, Ben Rossi, and I post all the content for Back Sports pages also on Facebook as well. And also on Twitter, you'll see me sharing other fellow colleagues stuff from Back Sports page as the site is constantly growing.
Listen, we appreciate all the hard work you do for us, and thanks for giving some time today. Normally these interviews are supposed to be going 10 to 15, 18-minute mark. Some of them end up going a little further because of I don't even know how it ends up. Sometimes I end up losing it there, but I'm glad that you and I were able to finally get to do this. And keep an eye on Exit Velo. Ben is on there all the time with those guys. Baseball team is my solid core for Back Sports page, and I can't ask for a better group of guys. Thank you so much, and like I said, you do a terrific job. Check out all Ben's work at backsportspage.com. For Ben Rossi, I'm Randy Zellea. Always a pleasure. We'll talk to everybody soon.